Now, roughly an hour and 45 minutes after the explosion here in Alpena, there was a radiation spike. It was recorded at 3 separate facilities along the Michigan and Indiana border. Normal background radiation at those stations is 5 to 6 counts per minute, but these brief spikes peaked at over 7,000 counts per minute, and then the instruments fell silent. The EPA quickly took down the reading, but a quick-thinking internet user was able to get a screenshot of this peak just before they did that. Now, the EPA also blamed a glitch in their instruments, but I find it difficult to believe that an instrument pack from 3 different networks, 2 privately owned and 1 government run, failed simultaneously with the same glitch. And in addition, a police officer from Chicago reported a radiation spike on the instruments at the police lab there. So that's 4 reputable sources that recorded a radiation spike last Wednesday. There's another thing I can prove. There has been an insane amount of military activity since this explosion in Michigan. Now, according to one witness that I spoke with at the Alpena County Courthouse last Wednesday, a flight of Apache gunships came in off of Lake Huron at the exact same time that the blast occurred. And down below, near the Indiana border, there have been Apache gunships, Blackhawks, Chinooks, A-10 Thunderbolts, and AC-30 Spectre gunships that have been photographed in the skies. Now, while it's not proof in itself of anything sinister, it's interesting to note that Minot Air Force Base in North Dakota is currently running a nuclear containment drill, and a fleet of Department of Homeland Security nuclear emergency response hazmat trucks has been reported to have left its normal campus, where the vehicles have been parked immobile for years. Now, the military doesn't seem to care about the concerns of Michigan residents. A message was left on my cell phone by the Alpena Combat Readiness Training Center. The executive assistant was denying any knowledge of the source of the blast.
Hi, Bob. This is Patricia calling from the Alpena CRTC, and we spoke yesterday. I was following up. You had a question about whatever that big boom was, and I've spoken to several people here on the base, and we haven't been able to determine what it was either, so it didn't happen here. But if I do come across anything, I will let you know, and have a good day. Bye.
Now, these people are supposed to be in charge of our national security, and the best answer they can come up with is, well, it wasn't us. We don't have a clue. No, there's just a big cover-up going on up here. Now, when I attempted to get her statement on video, I was arrested the second that I stepped onto the base. Now, if I was just some nosy busybody, I can understand that. But I have credentials going back almost a quarter of a century. I've interviewed congressmen, senators, governors, presidential candidates, and even General Colin Powell when he was the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff during Desert Storm. Now, when I came away from that interview, I was so impressed with the man's integrity, I named my son after him. So I'm no stranger when it comes to military protocols as it relates to the press. And until last week, I was never treated with such disrespect and hostility by the military. And during the first Gulf War, I was responsible for reporting from Peterson Air Force Base, the U.S. Space Command, the 4th Infantry Division out of Fort Carson, and NORAD as the evening news anchor for KVOR and an assignment reporter for CBS Radio Network. Now, if I can interview spokesmen at those bases during a time of war, the question has to be asked, why the stonewalling now? In peacetime, at this tiny little base tucked away in the backwoods of northern Michigan. I need to know what they're hiding. Now, my friends, I have stumbled onto something big. I feel like I'm in the middle of a Tom Clancy novel over here. I'm pretty sure that my phones are tapped. I'm being followed by non-locals. I feel like I'm the victim of whiplash, searching the sky for drones and helicopters and tails. Now, the most recent attempt to silence me was a ban at Above Top Secret, where The Truth is Viral was briefly hosted until I started to run a series on FEMA camps. Speculation has been rampant for some time that ATS is a COINTELPRO website run by the CIA or another government alphabet agency. But I'll leave that to you to come to your own conclusion on that. From what I've read over there after my ban, that seems to be the consensus. Now, the last time the owners of Above Top Secret and I had a tiff was just after my daughter died. As I returned from to Michigan from retrieving her remains in South Carolina, I came through Indianapolis, where I was born, to spend the night with family. Now, by a twist of fate, I just happened to be going through Indy on the Friday before the Super Bowl. So despite the fact that I was in mourning, you know, I had no idea what to do. So just to keep my mind occupied, I filmed a show. And that was the second episode in a series on FEMA camps. And I uploaded the footage to Above Top Secret on Saturday before Super Bowl. It sat on their servers untouched for a week before I decided that I could do a better job of putting my show together all by myself. And I fired my video editor, who just happened to be Above Top Secret owner Bill Irvin's son, Joe. Now, there was no reason for the gross incompetence showed by Joe Irvin other than to send a message to me that they didn't want to air that episode because it showed a facility in downtown Indianapolis that could be used as a FEMA camp with no additional preparation. On the 12th of June, I was banned from Above Top Secret because this explosion story is getting way too much attention. My initial report has gone viral worldwide. It's featured on the front pages of every major alternative news outlet in the world, from David Icke to Rents and Activist Post. There were at least 3 threads discussing this story on Above Top Secret alone. Since ATS was my largest platform to spread the truth, they probably thought that if they took that away, I could scream and yell to the high heavens about, you know, what was really going on. There would be nobody to listen. But they didn't count on the fact that my video would go viral. They didn't count on the fact that 6 websites have asked me to become a contributor in the meantime. They didn't count on the fact that I'm an improvise, adapt, and overcome jarhead. And I'm fighting under the protection of Almighty God. What did Obi-Wan say? Strike me down, and I'll become more powerful than you could ever imagine. I think I might make that my new credo. In the meantime, I need your prayers, I need your help and your support. The most important thing that you can do right now is pray for the safety of me and my family. Okay, I'm going to go off script here for a second and tell you just how bad it's getting. My 19-year-old son, he's 6 foot tall, weighs 240 pounds. He's a big, tough kid. And the other night, you know, I went in to check on him. You know, I haven't slept for like, I don't know, 12 hours in the last week. But I went in to check on him and he was gone. And I went out to the driveway to see if the van was there because big fat target that is now. I was afraid he might be in jail again. That's a whole other story for another time. But yeah, 6 hours after I was arrested, he was arrested too. He spent the night in jail. But getting back to this story, he was gone. The van was here, and I thought, you know, I'm sure it was sleep-induced paranoia, but, you know, I thought that he'd been black-bagged in the middle of the night and kidnapped. Well, I was, he's also in the habit of going out near dawn and fishing. So, you know, I was hoping that maybe he rode his bike down to the lake, and that's what he was doing. So I sat there for a few hours, biting my nails, wondering where my son was. I went in to wake up my wife and ask her, where's Colin? And when I did that, I discovered him on the far side of our bed, apparently in the middle of the night. he'd gotten up to go take Nero's money. So yeah, I need your prayers for my safety and my family's safety. And I need you to spread the word on this, because the local news media and by extension the networks aren't saying a doggone word. Like this video, post it on Facebook, post it on Twitter, post it in every single forum where you have a presence, so that we can get the word out. Because something happened up here. I'm not lying about that. Tens of thousands of people that felt this explosion aren't lying about that. It happened and it's being covered up. We need to show these globalist scumbags that we're not their slaves. Their programming hasn't worked, and we're not going to be silent anymore.